the whiskey is ready.
I know.
Hello and welcome again to the wide world of wargaming. As always, we are your hosts, Alex, John, and Jeremy. Garrett is out tonight. However, we're going to try a different format here. We have a Zoom call, like a lot of us in this current climate. We're doing a lot of video chatting, and there's a lot of tools out here. So we're using Zoom now to test out some audio recording, some video recording, and have it all be something that you guys can enjoy on both a visual basis, because I know you love our bright and shiny faces, but also, you know, you continue to get your daily dose, your weekly dose of the wide world of wargaming. To get started like we do every single time, John, what's on your workbench in this COVID-19 fever?
Hey, how's it going, Alex? How's it going, Jeremy? Good to see your bright and shiny faces. I actually think I like this format better already. We'll have to see how the audio and other quality holds out. As far as my workbench, look at that. I get to show off my fine blade and bow whiskey that I was talking about last week. This is some good stuff. Like I said, it's from the Stitzel-Weller Distillery, which is, again, I'd like to find out more, but the basic story of it is that this distillery went out of business, and they just have, like, there was one cask or some cask left over. And so this is a blended whiskey where they're using the old casks and a little bit of the old whiskey blended into all the new stuff they make. So that should be delightful. So we'll see how it is. And it's quite tasty. So, you know, since you guys could see me there with my big giant ice cube. You like that? It was actually a little traumatic today to get my giant ice cube out. You know, it's like in this thing, and it wouldn't come out, and I had to smash it on the counter. And it was way more effort than I was expecting when I went in the other room there. On the other hand, you know, enjoying my, you know, the first week is like a vacation. We'll see when I've been locked in the house for 3 weeks what it's like. Now, Donna and I have been successfully locked in the house together for 4 or 5 days. Haven't killed each other. Actually seem to be getting along just fine. It seems to be no issues. What I am finding is important is to kind of break my day up. So I'm like, I've been doing some live streaming. The other day I built this Lego bus. Oh, here we go. Oh,
yeah, I saw that.
You saw that? Oh, man. So I built a Lego bus that had been sitting on my shelf for like years, dude. I mean, I'm not kidding you. Like, this thing has been like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago that I actually bought this thing, and then started building it with my son. And he moved out, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, got sick really. And so that went away. And then earlier today, I did a live stream. I built a couple Dark Angels, Master Lazarus Primaris models. And so I'm going to try to, like, every day, just doing a little bit of hobby, maybe an hour or two of streaming. I've been playing some video games. Been firing up some Skylines. And actually, Michael Birch on our team contacted me yesterday about starting a Blood Bowl league on Steam. And so I have Blood Bowl 2, so I did download it and reinstall it. Looks like I've played it about 11 hours.
Oh, wow.
2 years ago. So anyways, he started the league. It is the Corsairs Blood Bowl League on Steam. And once we get that going, we'll see if some other people or listeners or anyone wants to join in. And we'll see if we pass some time. So it's like those things of breaking things up. So I got, you know, a little bit of live streaming hobby in. I played a little video games. Maybe get a Blood Bowl league in. Been trying to watch a movie or some TV with my wife every day. Been trying to spend some time playing with the dog. Since way too many people are out, you know, out and about when they're supposed to be. So, like, we're out there walking the dog, right? And we're like, okay, maintain our social distance for everybody. So we're like crossing the street and all that good stuff. And then then somebody comes running past us from behind. I'm like, that's not social distance. I'm like, I'm now in the tunnel of your heavy runny breath. So I'm like crossing the road to the other side. And, you know, so we got about a halfway around the block, and we're like, that's enough of this. So now we've been going out at 5 in the morning, taking advantage of the fact that we get up at super early to take a no person walk, or a minimum person. Like, there's still people out at 5 in the morning.
Yeah,
it's fewer people.
Yeah.
So that's it. Just been breaking things up, and that's what I continue to do. And you know, been talking to friends. I tell you what, I have had all day to chat, and so many of my friends, guys like Tony, guys like Shane, people that you hardly ever get to talk to because they're so busy. Instead, chatting all day, hobbying away. It's pretty awesome. In fact, you guys are used to me chatting all day, or like used to be, because I used to like goof off at work all day. But I've been super busy for the last 6 months, so I hardly get to chat during the day. So it's been nice for me to chit chat all day long. My wife has started playing, like her friend Jennifer. They went to high school together, so they're both in their something. Well, they're not my age, but they're. Anyways, so
walk yourself off that plank.
Yeah, I just will shut up there.
Wave off.
So they're playing this first person shooter on the phone. So I get my wife is over there, like some kind of assassin. They heard her friend before it was like an assassin's team, and they're going and sniping people and some kind of first person shooter. I'm like, what the heck? It's a brave new world that we've entered with all of this stuff. So anyways, that my friends is what is on my workbench, just keep them busy. Oh, and since I was a little worried about our supplies, we're not preppers, but I do live in earthquake country. So for Donna and I, we have about 2 months worth of supplies, like those long-term bucket of thing that, it's like breakfast, lunch, dinner, freeze-dried fruits, all kinds of stuff to keep us going. So I've got like several of those. So I could go like 2 months if I crack into my actual emergency rations. We had these like ration bars, these like survival bars, and I saw that they expired in January. So I'm like, well, I better eat those. So I cracked those open. I mean, they're good for 10 years. They're 1 month expired, right? You figure they're probably okay, right? And first off, stale as fuck. Don't know how many years they stay stale, but they were like those, what are those, the elven bread, the honey bread, the limbus bread, or
Lambdas bread?
Something like that. Yeah. I swear they were like super dense, and you bite into them, and they're like, but then it's like this honey flavor, and it was actually pretty good, except for that kind of how something can be good but have that kind of staleness to it.
Yeah,
like an old cookie. It's good. It's a cookie, but it's stale. Anyways, Jeremy, what is on your workbench, my friend?
I don't know if I can follow that up, but I'm going to try. Let's see. Firstly, I want to point out that Alex introduced us as video record, like surviving through video recording. Don't worry, guys. We're not. Alex is not stripping online for money yet.
Not yet. Yeah, dude.
I'll let you guys know. I'll start the first fan.
Don't push me, man. Don't push me.
That'll be the third level of the Patreon offering.
The God tier.
Special edition. No, the bathwater would be. The bathwater would be.
We'll do a calendar photo shoot.
Ooh. We can do it with all the other segments too. Vince could be January to start it off.
Yeah, nice.
No, we can go through everything else.
Oh, we love you. We love you guys.
So my workbench is Guinness. I haven't had a chance to go get whiskey in about 2 weeks, so I don't know. I'm probably gonna murder someone at some point soon, since I haven't had a drink of whiskey in 2 weeks. But
what?
Yeah, what?
That's right. With Oregon, that you guys would not have any alcohol delivery up there, huh?
Nope.
There's got to be alcohol.
Postmate maybe, I guess, but no. We just really haven't been out of the house for anything other than grocery shopping. But on my workbench, I taught my wife how to play Civilization 5 this weekend. We spent doing that the entire weekend, so that was cool. Obviously, we've been stuck in the house together for almost 2 weeks now, and we haven't killed each other, and we don't plan on it. Well, at least I don't know what she's planning. I can't read her mind.
That's one of those things, though. It's like you're all, it's like Pop Goes the Weasel. You might be all happy, it's all good, and secretly she's back there. She's like, one more, just one.
Yeah,
more.
Exactly. The fucking pressure keg is building. I haven't touched my Caradon Overlord. They're like, since Rose City Raft got canceled effectively, I have like no motivation to paint. Really unfortunate. It's kind of also reflecting on it. It's kind of a shitty thing to say. Well, not canceled. I guess it got moved. But the point is, like, I realize now, like, my entire motivation to paint is related around events. And when I don't have events, I don't have any motivation to paint. Period. don't like paintings. So that comes down to it. But yeah, hey, Alex, you're gonna say?
I was gonna say it was fully canceled. Like we like to talk about the fact that it was pushed out to OFCC, but it's run by the same individual. So we our good friend Ben Viscara tried to use the analogy of, well, I went to McDonald's and they can't give me my lunch, but they gave me a voucher to go to Burger King for my lunch instead, because the payment and your ticket for Rose City Wrath, everyone who signed up, because it was a major event, is now officially an OFCC ticket in June or I think July. The way that I frame it, because both events were run by the same individual, is that you were intending to go to lunch using that same kind of example. You were intending to go to lunch at McDonald's. Their fryer was destroyed. They can't take you, so they give you a voucher for dinner at Burger King. You don't get lunch anymore. You now get dinner, but you got a voucher for it. So,
yeah. And if we're going to take that analogy even one step further, then he bought all the trophies and swag for the Rose City Wrath. So when you go to Burger King, it might actually be in a
McDonald's
wrapper that you're served your Whopper, and thus you get your Whopper and your Big Mac all in one.
As long as the pack is the same as Rose City Wrath, I don't really care, guys. It's just processed meat anyway. It doesn't matter.
With the goals that I have in place for myself that you've basically just given me, Jeremy.
You're welcome.
Two events back to back getting canceled because of COVID was hurtful.
I just want to appreciate that Hannah is still like in the top 3 until the actual event actually runs.
I'm like 13th.
Stay in there. Who knows?
I'm like 13th with 2 scores, so I'm waiting for that third.
I mean, hey, we can, like I said, we can spruce up a tabletop simulator and start an online league.
There we go. For like another week or 2, right? Oh boy,
there's been a lot of talk of that.
Oh man. So yeah, that's my workbench. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, I'd like to say I got stuff on my workbench. I really don't. I ordered. I finally wanted to get my knights in order, and I don't have an airbrush. Or I mean, I have an airbrush, but it obviously needs I just need a new one. So I'm gonna get a new Iwata Eclipse probably, or just wait for a Badger deal. But I already talked to an individual to commission paint my knights, anyways. But I didn't like my Armiger armor, so I am, nor did I like very much one of my Questoris knights for 40K. So I think I'm going to be custom ordering one more set of Questoris knight armor from a custom person who's created their own. But I actually went to Legio Models and bought 2 sets of special dark AdMech armor for Armiger Knights, so I can have a custom armor and actually have a Moirax count as or a Moirax conversion that's not
Which one is the Moirax?
It's the Forge World Armiger. I'm not a huge fan of the armor, and it literally is just an armor case mod with different weapon loadouts. And I'm able to get the weapon loadouts that are almost identical from vendors like Tarot Model Maker, for instance. They have an Etsy store. I bought a bunch of stuff off him already because he has a bunch of spare weapon parts, and he's got the Necron gauze. The new, when you buy a Ghost Arc, you see what replaced the green tube for energy on the gauze blaster. There's that little design with the circles and stuff. Mm-hmm. He sells those that you can just kind of put in there instead and then just paint them up however you want. I really like his stuff, but he makes primarily all knight stuff. He's the one, if you've ever seen a knight, a Questoris knight with a big old huge bulky shield, that's his product. Nice. And his stuff is so great. So he has Moirax weapons that he sells in his Etsy store. Well, no, he actually moved away from Etsy recently, but I follow him on Instagram, and he's got a very big social media presence. But I went to Legio Models, which is a Russian vendor, with these. He has dozens of different armor sculpts for both Loyalist and Chaos Knights, for both Armigers and the bigger ones and the Dominus patterns. And some of them are a little outrageous. Some of them are outright ugly for good reasons and bad reasons. But, found one that I like. So that's on my workbench once it gets here. But it hasn't gotten here yet. My army, like Jeremy mentioned, I really only find myself really honing down on hobbying when there's a tournament coming up. And I already have my list. And I have my list for the next few tournaments anyways. And it's already completely painted, completely based. Everything's ready to go. If I wanted to do a display board, I was considering that. But now, like we talked about prior to the recording, I have other projects that I want to do instead. So I'm going to focus on those, like building a computer or something like that. And yeah, nothing else on my workbench. I was drinking a claw because, there is the new 12-pack that included watermelon and lemon and, mango, which was an original one anyways. Which is fun.
I have some bonus workbench content.
Ooh, hold on.
Bonus workbench.
Did you draw Alex drinking?
No, please finish, Alex.
I would say
I didn't realize you'd a bonus workbench content yourself there.
Ooh. I just right now I am just drinking Pendleton whiskey on the rocks. But I did the most I don't know, you could say
wait, you're having a White Claw and a whiskey?
Oh, I already finished the White Claw.
Oh.
But I actually, for the first time ever, put all my alcohol in separate little containers. So.
Oh wait, that's not the bottle it came in?
No, it actually is very similar to the bottle it came in.
Yeah, it looks like a Pendleton bottle.
But I have different ones now. It's the most suburban thing I've ever done. Is I have all my alcohol in their own decanters now, separately for my bar.
That's like a Rockefeller move. You are a badass. Oh, I like that. It's high class.
He tries.
We'll see. I try too hard.
So I was going to throw out there. Here's a little bonus workbench. Like that?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Is that watercolor?
No, that's Donna did that.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, she found my AK Interactive Edge highlighting pencils and just used them as color pencils. So the picture's great.
How are your pencils?
My pencils.
You can hang it on the fridge?
Luckily, they can be resharpened.
Okay. Fair. Your pause and your tone. I was like, oh no.
I was like, oh, that picture looks great. Oh, what's that you're using? Oh, my Edge highlight. Those are really expensive colored pencils.
Wait, actually,
that aren't really colored pencils.
Hold on. Actually, I was not aware of this. You Edge highlight your models with a pencil.
Yeah, you haven't seen these?
We have never had this discussion before.
So these are AK Interactive paint pencils. So you actually get them wet. And then you run them along the edges of your models, and they're in all these nice highlighty colors: silvers, greens, blues, grays, whites, little rusty colors. And yeah, so you do all your for edge highlighting.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's great.
Actually, I shouldn't complain. I guess they're still in pretty good shape. They're not too bad. Oh,
yeah.
There we go.
It's another piece of tech.
More tech.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
I have more tech than I do hobbying.
He says he's not a prepper, but he's an optimist. I think when it comes down to.
That's right. I've been waiting for this day. I have enough hobby supplies. I can go. Not only can I do months worth of food and I have water too. I actually have boxes of they look like Capri Suns, but they're water. So I got water covered. I've got food covered. I've got hobby supplies. I'm looking at unbuilt kits for days on my shelf.
Oh my God.
I might be good for 3 to 6 months.
Wow. Yeah.
As long as the toilet paper holds out, I'm in good shape.
Yeah, it's time for investment today.
Oh boy.
That'll start shipping again soon. We'll all be okay.
I know. We all will be.
Famous last words. No, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, right now things are a little tough for everyone, and a lot of events were canceled, obviously, and we're all very excited to see the live stream from Games Workshop this upcoming Saturday, the 28th of March, with their the part 1, I think, of 2 for their Adepticon live stream. I think it's really great that despite all these challenges that we're encountering, the community is allowing us, or Games Workshop is still very flexible in how they want to do everything. And for us, we're going to have to get up at 6 a.m. or 6:20 or something in order to see it, which I'm not going to do that on a Saturday. But
we'll be up for hours by that point.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. But I'll wake up to a lot of surprises, I'm sure. A lot of Lumineth and
Nice.
Blood Bowl and Necromunda and Titanicus and whatever.
That's how you actually wake up, is your phone, your alerts will start going off as people are messaging and screen capping. Oh my God! Bing, bing,
Dude,
bing, 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 bing.
That is actually kind of exciting. I will say, living Pacific time zone, it is exciting to wake up on a morning where there's been a reveal. And,
right.
And not see the messages and then immediately take them off and then just go straight to the Games Workshop website. It's kind of like a little Christmas morning, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I observed that years ago about being a GW fan. Is I actually feel it's less nowadays this way. But when I first started with GW, early 2010, 2011 era, it was like this repeated anticipation. It's like there's a little something coming, because remember, releases weren't that frequent back then. So you got 3 or 4 releases a year, every couple months, every once a month maybe. So it was like the first weekend of the month they're going to have their preview for next month's releases, and then you get a little hint, and then maybe you get some internet leak, a blurry German picture or something like that, and then it's like, okay, it's coming. Okay, we've been waiting for 5 weeks, and I know it's going to be something cool, and then boom, Saturday would come. It's like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, it's the new whatever, drop pod.
It's going to be a new edition of 40K and some elves. Elves.
Yeah, it'll be some elves. It'll be new 40K. Probably
there can't be a new 40K. They told us that it was a living edition. They told us that there would never be another edition. That it would just.
Okay, John.
Am I the only one who got it?
John.
I was introduced to GW very properly by a gentleman who managed the GW store here at Oak Ridge. I got into the game. I went in May, and after building my box set, and he's like, "Oh, John, you need these rules. Here is the big rule book that you got." I'm like, "Wow, look at this big wow, $70 or $50, man. Okay, I got this." And then 5 weeks later, the new edition came out. I was like, that cocksucker, he made me buy this big old rule book, and a month later, I got to buy another big old rule book. And I should have taken that as the first and ultimate lesson in GW collecting right there.
Shame on them the first time, but shame on you the second time.
And third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And of course, now they got digital copies. So, it's like, oh, I'm going to buy the digital copy, and I still better have the hard copy for this. And so now it's, double buying. And for a while, when they first released the Age of Sigmar app, they got me 3 ways, because I bought a copy in the bookstore, then I bought a copy in the Age of Sigmar app, then I bought the physical copy.
I remember the monetization of the original Warhammer app was terrible. Remember when you used to be able to buy War Scroll battalions to unlock them in the app? The monetization scheme was very bad. Right now, I feel like it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's reasonable now.
It was really bad in the beginning.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, we want to talk about AOS, of course, and there's kind of a lot to talk about here, but not a lot at all in terms of actual events. But, because of that, we want to try something different. We want to try to introduce individuals to the game. We want to do a lot of hobbying. We want to do a lot right now, given the current climate that we're in order to get people into the hobby, to enhance our own hobby, to paint our armies if we have them, or finish the projects we want to finish. There's so many jokes online right now about people where it's like, you're gonna go through these several weeks of isolation and not do a single damn thing to your armies. You guys are still gonna have great blasting, and if you guys do, we all kind of have to pity you. Like now you have literally no excuse. But we all know people who want to get into Age of Sigmar. I know some people who are interested in AOS, but I'm kind of waiting on certain things to happen before introducing them to AOS. But we have 3 different instances right now where new armies are being discussed among both current and new players. And with starting a new army, sometimes we don't really know where to go, right? We're kind of like, okay, well, we have the battle tome. What do we do next? And today we want to talk a little bit about starting new armies, and we want to kind of give 3 examples of what we want to do and some of the units that you might want to go for if you were to start 3 particular armies for Age of Sigmar, at least on a competitive basis. Now, the way that we want to start off, I think it might be best to talk about our good friend Tony Myers, who is a part of Hammerhead Games. They have really great game dials. They have a lot of other cool stuff. He's also the TO, or the kind of the head guy for Hammerhead Weekend event, which is going to be in very, very late August for both 40K and Age of Sigmar in Sacramento. But our good friend Tony, he wants to run a Deepkin army, and I'm not super knowledgeable about. I mean, I'm knowledgeable about Deepkin, but it runs game deep because of just playing against a bunch of Deepkin players. You guys, John, Jeremy, yeah, you guys are actual true blue Idoneth Deepkin players, and he's talked to all 3 of us about just what units to start, because he kind of came in completely blind. He has a huge Wanderers army. He really doesn't know what to do. And you guys have given him a lot of great advice. And I think throughout that discourse, and of course our discussions, we might already have kind of a good base starter for his army. And for our viewers and our listeners out there, what we want to do is we want to talk about how to start at least the first 1,000 points of your army if you were to start a few particular armies, starting with Deepkin. Now, Jeremy, John, when we talked and about starting a Deepkin army with Tony, he truly was coming in completely blind. What were some of the first things that you guys told him to really get the ball rolling in terms of starting this collection from a Wanderers army?
Sure. Well, he actually didn't come in super blind. If you remember, he fired up a chat. Now, that chat was originally one looking for wedding venues or something like that. It was some old chat that we had. He's like, hey, I found this chat, and all the people I want to talk to.
Resurrected it.
And if you remember, he actually had bought, I forget it was at a flea market or a sale, but he had actually bought some units. So he started off with thralls and reavers and a bunch of other stuff like that, almost kind of a random assortment of stuff. And it's well, let's talk a little bit about what you want to accomplish with this army, because it's Age of Sigmar, right? So on one level, you can play whatever you think is cool. You want a big army of giant turtles, you can do that.
Yeah,
you might not win games, but if you have the right friends, then you can have some fun. Unfortunately, Tony doesn't have the right friends. His friends are guys like us who are into a little more competitive play. And so it's not bring what you like to the table. It's not, gee, that's cool, that's fluffy. It becomes more, no, let's talk about what's good, and then we go there. So if I remember correctly, and Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, you started by saying, you start by buying 9 Morrisar Guard.
That's not true. I said you start with 3 boxes of knights or guards, and you get to decide which of them you want to assemble into. Now, I'm not going to put my bias into that, John. I'll let you take it away. But I do want to say one thing, though, before we go into that. We're not competitive. For AOS and 40K is not a beauty pageant, guys. It's a game about killing and beating your opponent in a senseless war.
Yes. It is a war game. You know, there are win conditions and a mission with objectives. Like that's the thing when people are like, oh, I don't know about that competitive play. It's like, as I always say, as soon as the dice roll, everybody's competitive.
Nah.
If you're not competitive, then don't even bring dice to the table. Tell a narrative and move the guys around while you're telling your story.
If the guy I was playing that showed up with like 4 like turtles was like, well, you caught me in the middle of my parade, so that's all I got.
Yeah, that's my narrative. All the good stuff went off to war. This was everything that was left in the city that sucked. There's your narrative. So anyway, so we basically told Tony that he needs to get some eels in there. And I myself, seeing that he started off with some thralls, so I did talk to him about, you know, how thralls have a place. I don't know about running big blocks of 30 thralls. I found that those are occasionally nice. Usually they're just big and bulky because of the 32 millimeter bases. Nowadays, you pretty much want either a king or Volturnos in there. A soul scryer is a given, right? Because you always want to do the shenanigans. I myself, and this is what I told Tony, it's like, I don't really run Morrisar Guard, but that is what most people run. I am a big fan of the Ishulin Guard. And when you add in that they ignore rend, that they can get that cover save on the first turn, you can usually keep them near the ship, so they always have a cover save. At that point, I feel that they're really good in the current shooting meta. They're a nice defensive unit. They survive very well. So that's what I like, and that's why I advise them. Now, something that I don't run, and I know Jeremy doesn't run, but Tony got in his mind about sharks. And so I think he's going down the shark route. So he's got himself a nice little core. I think he says he does have the 9 eels. He has like 30 thralls. I think he has 30 reavers going on right now. And he's even got the octopus guy. What is that guy? Lotan.
Lotan.
He's got a Lotan in there, right?
Don't describe him as the octopus guy.
The octopus guy.
The hentai fan. Yeah, got it.
Oh, okay.
This is not an after hours episode.
I mean, as if who isn't a fan of that on occasion? That's all.
Oh no,
say.
My God!
Just like my buddy, he's getting some third-party Seraphon models printed, right?
Yeah.
So he's got these really cool salamanders, and they've got like these horns on their head. And I'm like, okay, those are badass. They're all spiky. And then he's got one, I don't know, whatever the character is, but he's got a female version of the lizard character. And I know it's the female version because it's got the big boobs going on. I'm like, it's a lizard. It's like, it's one thing to give it the thick back end that they gave it, but boobs on a lizard? No, it's like, why would you even order that?
Come on, Alex, put your word in.
No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. He should feel bad. That's
what I'm saying. Names are not named, but
but you know what? I did see that post, so I know who it is. And we've talked about them on the podcast, so you know, there's that.
There is that. We all have our moments. I will say, I will admit that I do have a topless female Tau sniper in my collection. So,
is it that War Games exclusive?
Yeah, I mean, we all have our moments of weakness.
The guy's got like an eye for like building models, but he's so obsessed with like the weird, like, you know, like, let's make a Space Marine armor, but it's crotchless only, and it's not Slanesh. And I'm like, what? Come on, man! Like, what are you doing? Like,
he's taking it out on the wargaming community.
He truly is.
Right.
He's making them come to grasp with their real, true nature.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Give in to your feelings. Oh boy.
Sorry, I interrupted that, but yeah. So he took Lotan.
Sorry. So yeah, I took Lotan, and so that's what we're running. We're talking about, you know, having a little nice core of the guard. I think the way to go nowadays is to magnetize, so you can run them in either configuration, whatever you like. Got a king, and then he's going to fill out with sharks, like 6 or 7 sharks, I think. And
I think he had 4 sharks, but I built a list for him where I said, Jeremy's going to strangle me. And then I put 6 sharks in it.
Oh, is that why I saw the 6 sharks? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, this is probably not good. And then you were like, he doesn't have enough heroes, because the only 2 heroes were 1 Soul Scryer and 1 Achillean King, so that the Morrisar became battle line with the 2 units of thralls that I had, a max unit and then a small unit. And it was like literally a max unit of thralls, a min unit of thralls, a Killing King, a Soul Scryer, 9 Morisar, and like 6 Sharks.
Yeah, great army. You know, and again, it depends on nowadays when a lot of times the TOs are posting the packets ahead of time, so you know what missions you're facing. You might have the luxury of running a list like that. Like if you're going to go in, you got 3 places of arcane power. Like no, don't run that list.
Don't run that list at all.
I already know it doesn't work.
I know.
But on the other hand, you're running some other missions that are less hero heavy. Maybe that is the way to go, you know. So, and that's the thing that I think is real important. I know you do that on occasion. So we all do. If the mission packet is out ahead of time, tailor your list to be successful at all 5 missions.
Yeah,
or 3, well, whatever.
Just make sure you're competing in all formats. And then some TOs like to be real bastards and pick missions which are very like focused on one heavy set, and then you'll get like really weird lists. Well, not weird, but like very non-typical lists will show up to the event, because you'll see like, hey, why is this Deepkin army with like 5 heroes? Because literally like 2/3 of the missions are hero scoring specific.
Yeah, those ones get. I like the hero scoring ones and the 1 objective ones. I like those being like the litmus test ones. The ones that's like you like get the cream rather than everything else. You know,
yeah,
it's
round
like
3.
Round 3 and round 4 if it's a 5 or 6 round tournament. Like those are the ones back to back. It's like, can you handle like 5 missions out of the 5 events? 3 of them are 5 objective. Got to hop on the objectives, continue to move on. But then there's those special 1 or 2 where it's like, oh, this is the army you built for the other ones isn't going to be as optimized for these 2, or at least you can't. You got to build something more balanced.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a philosophy, I think, in tournament design. One that says, okay, I want a variety of missions so that no one type of list can do well. I want, that you need this sort of balanced type of list to be successful at all these missions, versus another alternative that says, no, I don't want to put these sort of polarizing missions in there. I want everything is going to be these, 5 objectives, high mobility objective missions, whatever you want it to be. And then you're going to say, no, now we're going to kind of create a certain type of army that will be successful. So, and I'm not saying one philosophy is right or wrong, but I'm saying they are different philosophies that are out there.
If we go back to a little bit in the beginning about like especially for folks who are looking to do some hobbying during their downtime and looking for Deepkin, like the king and the 3 guards and the Soul Scryer is basically kind of like your core mechanic of the army. It's 2 heroes, and if you run MSU Ishland Guard, which are very good, it's kind of like a 3 battle line requirement right there if you make the king the general.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that point on, you can pretty much expand into kind of like whatever you want. Now, granted, like most people like the all night, Eel Knight list because it plays to multiple objective missions very well, and it kind of like counteracts the shooting armies if they become a killing guard. Thank you. It kind of counteracts the shooting meta a little bit because Deepkin have a unique mechanic where shooting armies can only target the closest Deepkin unit. So it becomes, an interesting thing about, as John pointed out, Ishland Guard ignoring Ren, and then putting them in cover and making them the closest unit to be shot at. It becomes, for KO, that's a challenge. That's a pretty big challenge to overcome for some other armies as well. I don't know. But you can also go the opposite route. You could go like mostly infantry based as well, even with 3 guards, which I think you're always going to want to take in any list, because you can either make them Morsar Guard, which are crucial, and then make the rest of the army just basically Reavers and the Reavers and oh my god, I'm having a mental block on the name of the
Thralls.
Thralls. No, I would expect if I was a betting man that this general handbook is probably going to have a price drop again on Thralls and Reavers.
Oh,
because they are really they were when they first came out. They were one of the best battle line unit in the game. And now they're kind of like not awful, but their power level has dropped drastically down in comparison. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see another drop in points for them, which will be good. Now
They've always been strong on their own. They lack, and that's the thing with the whole army, is it lacks opportunities for synergy.
Oh yeah, and they designed it like to be on like this like tempo synergy mechanic where they wanted basically turn 3 to be like the turn where like you basically dump all your synergy into, but it is kind of yeah, it's not a very synergistic design army. At least in the upside, it's more synergy than Carrot on Overlord's got.
Oh, we've already
Wow.
we that okay. We don't
I'm
want this
always
to be
gonna throw that in there.
oh, this will be like the 20th episode where that gets brought up.
Yeah, until Ben Johnson personally, like ask for forgiveness. I'm gonna keep bringing it up.
John just got snacks.
Hi there, Donna. How you doing?
Guest appearance by Donna.
Yeah, she's very welcome if she brings snacks.
Snacks.
Snack fairy comes by.
Ah!
Yeah.
Oh, now we're just advertising.
She's just giving me a hard time. I actually ordered snack boxes that just got delivered.
Are you serious?
I did.
Oh my God. I will say up here, it is fantastic because everyone is, I'm prepared for stuff and a lot of non-perishables, total non sequitur we're talking about. Everyone is so worried about like non-perishables and stocking up. And like I cook with a lot of non-perishables anyways, like beans and stuff. So I'm always fully stocked with those. But no one's buying the produce. So like the local Fred Meyer over by us, which is a chain of like superstore style places with primarily grocery, they're selling like in-season blueberries 2 for $4, which you will see one small, package for $3.99. So at this point I'm like, oh, absolutely. Dive straight in.
Nice. Yeah, I made some gluten-free blueberry bread earlier in the week. It was pretty tasty. With it came with a can of wild blueberries, and then I supplemented with, just as you're describing, a whole skid of fresh blueberries that I just dumped into the mix. It was
right on.
Super tasty.
Outside of packing a bunch of new models in paint, we're gonna all be packing a few more pounds at the end of this.
Oh, I am trying my damnedest not to, because I was on a roll. I was on a roll finally until then, and I was like, no.
No, I own this. Just like when I went on the cruise hammer a couple years ago. Went on the cruise, did all the stuff, lost 5 pounds on the cruise. Okay. I'm gonna come out of this. I'm going to lose 5 or 10 pounds through this. I've actually, since I've been home and had time, so the first days we were home, my leg actually started getting sore from sitting around on my ass too much. And so I decided I needed to get a little more exercise. So I started hitting up, we have a Nordic track elliptical that I, in theory, should be doing every day, but in honesty, haven't touched in about a year. But now I've been doing 30 minutes of elliptical a day. So I'm actually getting in like more exercise than I have in a year. So more hobby, more exercise, and more cooking.
Wow, you lost weight on a cruise.
I lost weight on a cruise, yes.
That is fucking incredible.
Oh, yeah. Super active.
You forgot to mention that he was drinking the entire time and had no real calories.
We ate so much food on that cruise that we would like go to dinner and I would feel bad because I'm ordering these massive meals because that's what you get. But I'm like sitting down to eat and I'm already full. So like not even hungry to eat when I'm sitting down to eat. That's what it was like.
That makes complete sense. It is. Yeah. I haven't been to a cruise above 21, but, or 21 or older. I did when I was like 20 or 19 and, couldn't drink on the ship, but could drink anytime we landed. And, oh boy, so much eating was had, but that was also a long time ago.
Oh, it was. Well, yeah, it's funny. Like drinking ages were way different. I mean, I always tell people like when I went to Hawaii at 14, we were staying at the Hyatt Regency and we were being served, my brother and I were being served, smoothies with rum in them poolside the entire time we were there, just signing them to our room without issue.
Was that because they just weren't carding you? Because in that day and age, they didn't card you? Because I know.
Right. So the drinking age was only 18 then. So it was, so a 14-year-old, we were still too young, but it was less of a stretch that we could have been 18-year-olds. Because they actually changed the drinking age to 21 like 6 months after I turned 18. Because I remember I was in Georgia, and they changed it like just a little bit after. In fact, I missed being grandfathered in after they changed the drinking age by like 5 weeks. If I was 5 weeks older, I could have still drank at 18, but instead got bumped to the 21 when they made it 21. It was super sucky.
I cannot imagine someone seeing a 14-year-old John and being like, yeah, he needs alcohol. That guy right there is totally.
You know what? If there's any kind of person that needs drinking, it's pubescent boys. The ones going right into like their teenage years, trying to like figure out how to deal with reality, doing everybody else.
They were serving it to us like crazy. It was great.
Yeah.
Maybe not a good reason for that one. Anyway, talking about boats.
Boats. Speaking about boats in Hawaii, right?
Speaking about boats, we don't have much to talk about with Deepkin, which also have boats. Or not boats, KO.
They're shipwrecks, like this conversation.
Well, I mean, hey, when it comes to building an army, Tony did also ask us, terrain pieces. And in two of these instances about starting a new army, individuals have always asked, they're brand new to the game, they're from 40K, they're transitioning from 40K to AOS, and the first question is, hey, do I have to pay for my terrain piece? Because I definitely have to pay money for it. Do I have to pay points for it? Yeah. And it's always just like to see their face. I have never seen their face because it's always been via text so far, but their reaction is enough through these chats where I'm like, oh, I would love to see your face. And you're like, oh yeah, the terrain piece is free. Like, the next one that I think might be worth bringing up, we talked about our good friend Shane, who's starting a OBR army. It's more of I would say he's building it for vindictive means, but he's building it nonetheless. And he asked us earlier today, he said, hey, the Bone Tithe Nexus, does it cost points? And we're like, no. And Jeremy was like, in fact, it's the best piece of terrain in the game, probably. And
now, Shane has actually played Age of Sigmar, because when I was doing my first season with Firehead Productions, he was one of the guys that was playing pretty regularly. I want to say he had, at the time, he was running Stormcast Eternals with all the bow guys, like a whole line of the bow guys doing a thing. I want to say that was...
Yeah, I think they're called Adjudicators.
Were the Adjudicators? Yeah.
That's what they're called.
He had that, and he had a Legion army that I bought off of him.
Oh, did he?
When I got started, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I don't remember him playing the death stuff. Because I remember his
brother has Flesh Eater Courts.
He also bought Fire Slayers, too, which was funny.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? And he actually talked to me about Caradron Overlords because he had asked me about doing a lighting commission on one of the blimps. So it's like, that's why I actually sat down and worked out the design of how I would wire and light and the controller for it. And so I came back and I'm like, well, here's my design for doing a blimp. And by the way, it's going to be about $1,000. And he's like, oh, wait, what? I'm like, well, yeah, dude. They want me to build, light, and program LED
what, you
lights.
Think this is free?
Think about the exposure, John.
Yeah, so I had $1,000. That's the buddy price. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
You could literally measure it in ohm. But it was fascinating that like Shane didn't have a problem like not realizing that his terrain piece was free, but I had a problem with the concept that like battalions cost points.
Yeah.
It was a funny mechanic trade-off.
It was funny. We gave him basically the list that Jeremy and I developed as an example. And today, this afternoon, he hits us up. He's like, you guys, I don't know what to do. I'm 180 points short. Like, what am I supposed to do, dude? Or it wasn't 180. It was enough where it was like both the Catacrozy and Deathlands.
It was about like 190.
It was like something like that. Yeah. And it was like, what do I do with all these spare points? And I'm like, well, if you add the points for this battalion and the points for that battalion, you're at 2,000. And he's like, what? And then like the same thing earlier before we mentioned that, like he's like, Jeremy's like, what are you going to do with your other relics? He has like one relic in his list, and which is just like copy paste list. And he's just like, I get extra relics. And it's like, yeah, you get one per battalion. But really, like, you know, he's been building the army and he's got the army pretty much ready to go. But you know, when we talk about anyone who's starting an OBR army, the first 1,000 points is something that we've all talked about earlier, because we've also talked about OBR ad nauseum in previous episodes. And I think we kind of boiled down an almost 1,000 point flat, but great start to a 2K list. Jeremy, can you tell us a little bit about kind of the starter right here? That if you were to collect OBR, where do your first 1,000 points go?
Yeah, and when I say starter, I mean like core list, like as in like that is your basic rock core of the foundation of the army. A Leech Cavalos, 2 boxes of Mortec Guard, which is 40 Mortec Guards, and then a Harvester. I think most, if not all, competitive armies of OBR are going to be running like basically those fundamental units, like be it Mortec Crawlers, spam, or the list we played, which is the more like, you know, melee strike combat heavy version of OBR, or if it's just the grind the grind through attrition Mortec heavy list we see also, which is, you know, we're not going to talk about the Nagash list because it's kind of like an offshoot to the side, but for the most part, yeah.
Which guy was the Leech Cavalos? Remind me.
The guy on horseback.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
The hero on horseback, the non-named one.
Cavalos, cavalry, Cavalos, of course.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's a reason.
Sorry, I forgot like that I do speak GWEs.
He's like a lord. So additionally, you know, mechanically speaking, reason why the Leech Cavalos is important in OBR is it's a cheap introduction for additional relentless discipline points, because he generates an extra. Instead of a hero generating only 1, he generates 2. And also because he has some of the best relics available to OBR. Like, and so if you want, you know, talking about synergy earlier about the lack of it in Deepkin, the Leech Cavalos has a one relic that brings a lot of synergy to their army. It's called the Helm of the Ordained.
Yep.
Yeah, is that okay? Yeah, that's what it's called. And it's a whole even 12 inches of him. It gives every OBR units +1 to hit. So
+1 to hit, and you guys are normally hitting on 3s, right?
Yeah. It's really nice also for Mortec Crawler, you know, catapult list, because it makes them, they already hit on 2s, but when they're sniping heroes, it makes them hit on 2s again, sniping heroes. So unless, you know, they have additional -1 to hit mechanics, but yeah, it's a good starter kit for. I think like if you're not starting with that core for OBR, you're probably not gonna have a good time.
Yeah, now this something seems to be missing. Alex, how many crawlers would I buy for my OBR list to start my OBR army?
The answer to that, I'm sorry, Alex, I don't want to mean to, you know, speak for you, but the answer to that is 0.
Not 3?
I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you.
Not 2
or 10.
Not 1.
Not 1. One more tech crawler.
I tried that list. It was not very good.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like, oh, well, now you're within 6 inches and nothing's happening. Oh, shit. God, I hate more tech.
Sorry, Michael Birch, but we're going to keep shitting on your list.
Do better. Do better. Be best.
Of course, he is now playing the Wrath of the Everchosen.
Oh, he skipped from death onto chaos?
Yeah, he's always had chaos too. So he's a big Archeon bad boy.
Is he bringing an Archeon-based list, or is he bringing the 8 Bloodthirsters, or however many 5 Bloodthirsters?
I've managed to dodge him through the whole league, so I don't even.
Somebody described to me today Archeon's sword mechanic is that the sword is just like the guy from the Dutchman from Austin Powers, you know, the guy who says "get in my belly." It's just literally like the sword's just saying "get into my sword." Like that's how that guy works. So I just want to get I want to make a meme shirt that says "get into my sword." It's like Kingslayer works. It's just the sword screaming, "Get into me!"
Just superimpose that Austin Powers face over the demon face in the sword, so it's that. That would be great.
I mean, it's the most accurate description I've ever heard of how like that sword works. It's just literally, that's how it works. Yeah. Well, I'm glad he's transitioned out of a terrible list to another terrible one.
Like, shit.
You guys are the worst.
I am the worst.
I love it. So, Michael, if you're listening to this, just know that is all given out of love. You see the benefit of Mr. Alex Gonzalez here, a once upon mediocre player at best, now second best in the ITC after years of focused abuse from Le Boogeyman, honing his skills and raising his anger levels.
Well,
So
no, you also build up. Hold on, no, you build up a bunch of resentment too. So like that helps. Resentment can be a motivating factor. It's something you are totally missing here.
I don't need you to love me. I need you to respect me.
I'm not expecting you to like me here.
Oh no.
Oh boy. But I mean, that's a good starter. Like we talked about earlier, like the 1 unit of 20 Mortec Guard with blades, and then the 2 units of 10, the Harvester, the Liege Cavalos. That all ends up being 920 points, and you still have like at least one more hero you have to add and a bunch of other stuff, but that's a good start to whatever you're going to build. You could then build your 3 crawlers after that and then a hero and go like 1 in 4 or something, and God bless you. But like, you know, like you can do whatever you want after that point. You know, you could build a real great list, you could bring mediocre lists, it doesn't matter.
You know, it's really not about how good your list is, but how good your opponents are.
Yeah, and also how much practice.
And how much practice you get. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which we are not having any right now. Is a sigh of disbelief.
Unless you are a tabletop simulator, and if that's the case,
yeah,
God bless.
It just doesn't have the same feeling. I can't see your tears. Your salty tears.
Did you ever
table.
Did you ever try? Did any of you guys ever try Vassal 40K?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was a nightmare. Those games were so long. They were like longer than a normal game.
Yeah, you had to measure literally every click. Like there's just like, it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was not happening for me.
I was in college and I would like spend the day doing it, and like I would have to like study for a term paper, and I wouldn't even have to worry about like playing the game too slowly because how slow the game naturally was on Vassal. I was like, I'm going to write more lines here. And, this person just made that move. Perfect timing.
They should have just played that game as like, you know, the old RT or strategy games where you could play.
Well, John does. I don't.
Okay, well, fuck you too then. The old games where you could play by email, where you send your move by email. And then
oh my God. No, I don't know that.
Turn-based strategy games you could use to play by email, which is fucking fantastic.
I mean,
Vassal 40K.
I guess, I mean, when I went online in 1982 and connected against other people, you know, we hit refresh, but we weren't sending fucking emails to play games, you know? So, I mean, you're like talking 1964 or something to email stuff and back and forth.
Back when you wrote a message to a carrier pigeon. That went extinct 40 years prior.
It's always the old joke I make. You know, I talk about, you know, in the early 80s to going online and using my computer and writing programs, and I consider that to be super early cutting edge stuff. And then I'm talking to my aunt about it, and she's like, oh, yeah, that's like when I took computer lab in 1967, and we had to flip the switches and punch the cards to program the computer and get it to do the thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, so even when I was doing my early computer stuff, you, like, 15 years before that were doing some other even more ancient computer lab. And, like, if she was talking to maybe her aunt would be like, oh, yeah, well, you know, I remember when we were programming the weaving looms, and we would just, you know, use the wooden cogs, and it's just like the computer programs you're writing today, so, you know.
I'm not going to age myself more in this conversation. I'm backing out. Let's move on to the next.
At the point where I'm talking the weaving loom, what, you're out on that? Come on.
I was here for the wheel.
There we go. Oh, boy. Well, the other one actually isn't a new player. You are slowly trying to peer pressure me into an army that I've already sold, but you have it on hand. So you're like, just use my army. And so I probably will, but not everyone has the ability to have a good friend who has literally every army. So the third army we want to talk.
Let's give a little context to the audience here. I'm challenging Alex to play Zinch this year, or at least play some of the year with Zinch.
You're challenging him to play something besides a death army.
I'm sorry. Is there a fly in your room? It's like, what is that?
This is my angst. This is my angst.
Tuning out.
I'm living in my moment.
Can't handle the
be your best
pressure.
you.
You just don't understand, Dad.
I figured when Alex played Chaos Knights that we had finally cracked him out of the whole Death Alex mode. He plays Necrons. He plays every kind of flavor of death I can imagine of Age of Sigmar. I see him playing Chaos Knights. I'm like, oh, Chaos! Here we go. And then no.
No, my approach is different. It's not about look and feel or like feeling of the army. It's about mechanically. I think it's playstyle driven. Alex plays very specific style of armies, which I consider, and the way he approaches the game is like, I'm going to be the most prepared I can be at the table. And he brings armies that operate within the context of being prepared at the table. So it means that when he plays a game where like the plan is not going as exactly as planned.
Oh, I knew this was coming.
He has a bit of a, what's it called? Like
improvisational skills that are lacking?
EXE failure, basically. Executable cannot be found. Like, like 404 error.
Oh, yeah. He raised his glasses at you. Alex, oh, my God. The look on your face.
So I want him to start playing an army that has literally no preparedness. You go into a game and it's just like, I'll just make it up as we go because I have like all the tools. And that's kind of like the idea, like I want to make him play Zinch, is because the army basically can design around like not having a specific plan going into every like mission effectively, because you have a summoning mechanic, you play every phase, you play shooting, hero. So, you're going to have to also be good on time. Not that saying Alex is bad on time. It's just like it's going to be a slow army to play.
We will never accuse Alex of being a slow player.
Not anymore. No, my Taudar was bad, and it took me years to get rid of that.
But you know what, Jeremy, what you're really talking about there is a radical shift in actual of play style. I mean, we were talking earlier about the Deepkin, and I do play Deepkin. And I do well with them, right? The great army plays well for me. Boring as all hell. Does not suit my own play style, which is why I really just don't enjoy playing the army, irregardless of how well I do at it. And that's, to me, an important thing is I have found that there are only like some certain ways that I like to play, whether we're talking 40K or Age of Sigmar. I kind of understand the things that I like, what makes me happy on the table hop, what types of mechanics. And, I look at Alex here, and Alex is not a spring chicken when it comes to gaming. He's been playing Warhammer for longer than I have, more experience than I have, has achieved, the top levels in gaming.
Who's aging who now?
He's a man who has his own way of going. Are you saying that he's done all of that in this narrow little road of things that he likes to play?
Oh, 100,000%.
And Death Army are so similar to each other that he's kind of that master of the one style, right? He's mastered the Flaming Wind style, and it's good most of the time, but every once in a while he comes up against the water style. And the Flaming Wind has no chance against the water style. I mean, that's what you're doing.
So, I love John's metaphor, but it really just boils down to a very specific thing. When you play this game as long as we have, or as long as me and Alex has apparently, you get in situations where run into a wall about how to get better. And the only way, typically, at least I've discovered how to be better, is to just completely be out of my comfort zone. For me, Age of Sigmar was a big change in comfort zone. Like I was a middling 40K player. I mean, I had some glorious moments, but I never like broke like, you know, I never went into like top 3 ITC for 40K, top 10 at best.
Yeah.
But AOS, like when I know if I went back and played 40K hard, like more competitively again, I'll probably do better than I ever did before, because AOS has taught me something very important throughout when I've been playing it, is that the only way to get better at the game is to be put outside of your comfort zone. Because when you get too complacent about what you play, you get complacent, and that's the unfortunate reality. Is you start making poor decisions over long periods of time about the games you're playing, and you're getting in the stale moments where it's harder to, you know, figure out ways to get better. And then also, in the games are no longer about what mistakes did I make, but like how could the dice roll gone better my way, and so forth. So I've definitely had those moments, and thanks to, and this is something I want to share with Alex, is to get him out of his, I think like in that same situation I was in about a year and a half ago, which is, hey, try playing something that's completely, it doesn't matter if you go back to playing what you used to play. At least if you try and give it like a serious shot, I think you'll come out better at the end of it than you started effectively.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
But Zinch, if you build, and this is for, you know, going back to the original premise of this entire segment, guys. If you want to build a Zinch army during this quarantine, your core requirements are very simple. A Gaunt summoner. Is it Gaunt or Gaunt?
What? Gaunt. Like
summoner.
I'm Gaunt in the face or something like that. You know, like a
Or
Termagant.
I'm not Gout in the stomach summoner. Got it.
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't understand.
We understand.
And then 3 boxes of pink horrors and 3 boxes of horrors, which are including the brimstones in there, the blues and the brimstone. And pretty much from that point onward, you can decide to either play Change Host with a Gaunt Summoner, or you can decide to play Warflame Host with a Gaunt Summoner. There'll be a key metric here. It's like every Zinch army is better with a Gaunt Summoner. It's basically
100%. Don't we also have the Slaves of Darkness keyword?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. So they can be the guy to summon your Demon Rift. They can be the guy to summon your Burning Sigil of Zinch. Well, I mean, the Mana Core Lord, the Sorcerer Lord on Mana Core, is also another guy who can throw the spell.
Or just a regular Chaos Sorcerer.
It boils down to the fact. It boils down to the fact that because it can summon 10 pink horrors, which are 200 points, and the character itself is like 240 on foot, it's a 40-point level 2 wizard.
And it's 50 wounds. 10 horrors is 50 wounds if you have the models.
Yes, I think that's right. It works out to 50.
Totally correct. Yeah.
Wow, really? With all the switching and stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, between one pink horror becoming 2 blues, and then 2 blues, or 1 blue becoming one brimstone, you are looking at 50 wounds for 10, 100 wounds for 20. So at a 20-man unit, they are 4 wounds a point. 4 wounds a point.
400 points for 100 wounds for 20.
How long before it's nerfed again?
Probably
single
not
time.
This channel handbook, but the next one.
Like, because this is not the first time we've had out of control horror mechanics in 40K.
No, not at all.
It's again and again, and every time it gets nerfed and nerfed and nerfed into oblivion, and it goes away. And then I don't know, GW forgets. And they read that one book that's really funny with all the horrors popping out of each other. Like, oh, that's really fun. We should do that.
You know, it's not the horror's fault. It's what they did around the horrors. It's what the problem is. Well, it's not the horror war scroll that's bad. It's just that it's what they did around it that's bad.
In 40K, I always got a big kick out of it because for a really long time, you couldn't buy brimstones and blues in their own set. You had to buy like the Silver Tower set. And so people didn't know what to do. And I think like Nick Natavati, like 2 years ago, won a GT somewhere, somehow, but he brought a billion brimstones, and he literally just took a bunch of 25 mil bases, and this is the reason why, like, oh god, in 40K you can get so lazy on your fucking hobby. But what it was literally two mini mushrooms, two mini marshmallows on a 25 mil base, copy and paste for 60 of them or however many he had, and then he just like primed them black and sprayed them like a metallic color, like bronze. And he was like, "These are my brimstone horrors," and he like put little smiley faces on them, I think, with like a Sharpie. And I'm pretty sure like Reese found out after the fact, and he was just like, "That's never going to be allowed again. Cannot do that."
Oh wow!
Can
I vaguely remember that story. I when you said the yes.
You know, I'm almost certain
No.
if you look up marshmallow brimstone horror, you will get images. I think it is almost as infamous as the turtle riding Rough Riders. If you remember that one.
Oh, of course I remember that. Who could ever forget?
I just sorry, I had to get another drink. I was gonna say the outside of the pink horrors and the blue horrors that you should invest in a Zinch army. You should also probably invest in Slaves of Darkness and the spell box. That's it. That's usually what it comes down to. So Alex will hopefully take the mantle of the challenge this year and play at least 1 or 2 events with that box right here, John.
Yeah.
I feel like you just have a fucking like warehouse on the side we can't see, basically.
He does.
Yeah, right?
He actually does.
I'm telling you, it's out of control in here. Here, let's crack open another sprue and see what we got.
You know, I thought I was bad, but this is, I feel that I don't have this many screws unassembled in my house.
Sounds like John in his isolation, his social distancing, has a lot of models to build.
Yeah,
you
might even compare John to Trazen.
Yeah.
Infinite.
do you have a Creed model?
I mean, I do.
There we go.
That's just because I collect some of the older metal sculpts and stuff too.
Yeah.
Right, Trazen the Infinite. Got it.
There we go.
I was like almost remiss to say that. At that point, I'm like, I'm feeding right in.
So, real quick, for anyone who's starting Zinch Army, if they're looking for their first 1,000 points, we want to go with one Gaunt Summoner. Gaunt Summoner. And then got him! And then we want at least 3, or because of the free summon, 4 units of pink.
3, because a box of 3 boxes is 30 pinks. You can only have a unit of 20 you buy, and then a 10 from this Gaunt Summoner summon.
Okay.
Or you run them at 3 units of 10 for battle line.
So we basically want to buy just the battle line and its subsequent splits and the Gaunt Summoner as our initial go-to. Is that right?
Yeah, that's 100% right.
And then we can all wrap it up with whatever we want. We could then get our would we get a Gaunt Summoner on disc, or would we get one just on foot?
Nope, they're completely up to your personal.
And are there now, like, is there still that weird factor where there were 3 separate War Scrolls for the Gaunt Summoner? There was like the Silver Tower one. Oh, so they're just on a disc and off a disc.
Yep, they're 20 points difference.
Okay, perfect. Because before there was like the other one, there were 2 of them. One of them had followers, the other one didn't, or familiars.
Yeah.
Real awkward. So that one, the one with the familiars, is no longer a thing.
Nope, it's gone.
Wonderful, because that was exhausting. Because there were particular familiars and they had to be modeled a certain way, and it was just, no one wanted it. Okay, cool. And then, of course, then you can fill out your Zangors, you can fill out your Witchfire Coven, you can fill out Acolytes,
Flamers.
Yeah. So many good units in there nowadays, and plus you have one at that huge summoning pool once you get up to 2,000 points. Yeah, I myself owned a variety of Zinch kits. No surprise. But I actually made a conscious effort earlier this year to get rid of all the unbuilt Zinch kits in my collection, so that when the Battle Tome came out, I would not fall down that hole. because I didn't have enough to even start an army. I just had like some random kits that I had acquired over the years. I was
Smart.
like, I already know what's going to happen. Like right now, if I had 5 or 6 boxes of of screamers and some other stuff I had going on the shelf, like I'd be fully building a Tzeentch army, and I have no business building a Tzeentch army. That's, to me, that's an army that it's strong right now, but we've seen it get strong and get weak over the years, so it will get weak again. But it's also a heavy, what I call finesse army. Yeah, right. You think it's going to get, maybe not.
It's just like it's the perpetual cycle of Age of Sigmar or 40 Games Workshop games. Hey, you know what? Just gets weak. That's okay.
It gets weak, and then it gets strong, and then it gets weak, and then it gets
go in, tides come out. Tides go in, tides come out. You can't explain that.
Exactly, just like the Evertides. But anyways, what I'm saying with the Tzeentch is it's an army that takes some finesse. And so to me, it's an army that you have to practice. You have to play a lot. You have to practice a lot. And I myself don't play enough anymore to be diving down no Tzeentch army, to be, hauling it to tournaments. Like, no, just no. So I will, no business there.
I will only be starting the army as a way to practice with what Jeremy has, I think. If I play at a single tournament at all with Tzeentch, it would be because of that. Because on a completely separate note, I actually hate the models. I'm not a big fan. I think pink horror models, I think all the horror models are gross. I think the Gaunt Summoner looks dumb. I think all the Tzeentch models, when I see a Tzeentch player across the table, I'm like, I might like you as a person, but don't like your army.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Alex, they say variety is the spice of life, and there's not a lot of variety in the armies you choose to play, and so makes you very, very good at what you do. But I think you would find it's the concept of being a journeyman versus a master. You're ready to become a journeyman. It's time for Alex to play the variety. As Jeremy said, to stretch, whether it's to borrow some armies. Maybe, it's one of those things where Alex sets a goal to win 5 GTs with 5 different armies, 5 different factions by the end of the year.
First of all, you realize that Nighthaunt and OBR play completely different ways, right?
No, they're fucking death. I notice no difference.
Okay.
They play
skeleton dudes on the table.
They play differently, but they still fit the same criteria, which is every game you play them as, like, you plan out the game before you show up to the table, and then when
I actually was surprisingly on the whim with my Nighthaunt. It's just they can't really do that anymore.
They can't hang. They can't hang anymore.
They can't play like that anymore.
You are blaming the army instead of blaming yourself.
I'll fucking play him again. Don't tempt me. Our good friend Bronson's got my army right now. That's the only issue. He physically has my models. But
well, then let me borrow your other death shit, and then you'll be forced to play some Tzeentch, maybe some Oryx. Can you imagine Alex playing Oryx on the table?
It actually plays very similarly to Death, so no.
Yeah, the way that it definitely plays more similar.
It'd be like your Nighthaunt, huh?
Yeah. No.
Plays closer to Legion than Nighthaunt. It would be the only destruction army that I would say is like plays very differently for him is Gits.
Honestly, I'll say I'm actually semi tempted at Lumineth. I haven't even seen their rules yet, but I like the models.
Oh, some elfies, huh?
He judged the book by its cover, guys. He hasn't read the book.
Every time I tell someone to start an army, in AOS, I say, get the models that you like first, and then build an army from there. Which, you wouldn't normally want to hear that from someone who's a competitive player.
Decision.
But
it's a terrible decision. Get the starter box first. Play a couple of games of that point level, and then realize you made a terrible mistake and don't over-invest.
No, Lumineth are not going to suck, though. The new elves are going to come out, and they're going to want to sell those models. And there's a lot of hobby that's required to build those and paint those damn models. So they had better have some damn good rules to make you paint all that effort.
I've always, even when people were trying to get me into 8th edition fantasy, I was like, I just want to run like an Alexandrian phalanx. And they were like, well, you should probably do high elf spearmen. And they always strike first, and just a bunch of those and some magic users. And I was like, hell yeah. And so I see those new Lumineth, I see those Lumineth spearmen. I'm like, they look very cool. And like I thought at first you could run like a true Phalanx Mortec guard unit, and then I saw the rules, and it was like, no, you always need to run them with blades. There's no reason never not to run them with blades over spears. But who knows? Maybe Lumineth. A lot of their shit's got what?
As I say, I think there's also a chance that War Scroll as published was not correct. Like it seems to me that those the spears, as it were, which are actually lances, I think, are going to require or pikes or something, are going to require a 2-inch range. Like that's what's missing from that War Scroll in my mind.
From Mortec, they have 2-inch range.
No, I'm talking about Mortec. I was talking about the elf unit.
They've been released already. The weapon.
No, he's making inferences.
He's making shit up.
I'm making shit up. I'm confused. You know, it's late, gentlemen. We've been recording for more than an hour.
We have been.
Let's wrap it up.
We do certainly need to wrap it up. I really hope you guys like this version of the podcast. It's audio, it's visual, it's everything you need without the special effects. We'll figure that out later. Not a big deal. If you guys like this episode, let us know, because we definitely are testing. We're in uncertain waters here, and we just want to try something new, so we hope you like it. If you want to also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Facebook, please do so. And we're always on FLG's Roll on a semi-regular basis. We want to really be there on a regular basis, though, on the FLG site. So do see us there. Otherwise, reach out to us on Twitter as well. We're on the Wide World of Wargaming, and our own individual Twitters also that are Twitter handles are all constantly tagged on there anyways. But this is going to be Alex, John, and Jeremy signing off for the night right before a quick message from Jeremy.
Yeah. Click the subscribe button, because it's probably going to be on YouTube.
There you go. Click the subscribe button.
Awesome. And look for me to be live streaming all week. Zeztuku is my YouTube channel. Been posting links also over on my Twitter feed, Zeztuki, and Facebook. Anybody that's listening to this podcast, you're welcome to connect to me through any of those social media choices. Just keep your damn distance away. In fact, what do you think, guys? Here's my idea for social distancing is I'm going to take, as I go out walking, I'm going to start taking my Warhammer with me. And so if anybody starts getting too close, I can just be like, social distance your ass away, or you're going to get Warhammered, motherfucker.
I'm just going to talk to you like this from now on every time we do a video chat. I'm just going to stay this far away and be like, hey.
Yeah, so as you can see, for the audience who has no visual, this is why you probably should watch us on YouTube, because if this episodes are going to be like this,
it adds a whole new dynamic to the conversation. Yeah,
I've never felt so threatened in my life, John.
With that, good night, folks. We will talk to y'all later.
You guys have a great evening.
Good night.
Winning is not a sometime thing. It's an all-the-time thing. You don't win once in a while, and you don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit.